So we're here today at Western Digital. I'm standing right next to Matt in front of the G Drive display. Western Digital is actually the parent company for a couple other companies. Which ones are we talking about here?
Yeah, so Western Digital, a lot of people don't realize this, but Western Digital is the mothership for G Technology, WD, SanDisk, HGST, a company called T-Gile, a company called Up There. We have a ton of different technology under the house. And one of the really cool things is Western Digital, as a patent holder, has more patents than everybody except for Google and Apple. So we got a lot of great technology in our fingertips.
Absolutely, it's amazing. And in fact, I actually own some of these SSDs that are on display right here. I own this little R series one it's crush proof. It has an IP67 rating, and it comes in 500 gigabytes and 1 terabyte version.
And up to 2 terabytes.
Up to 2 terabyte versions. So I mean, this thing is amazing. I take it with me everywhere, and as you can see, you could fit it in your pocket easily. And it has a USB-C interface and about 560 megabyte speed.
That's right. So with this drive, we get reads of up to 560 megabytes a second. Write speeds are mostly defined by your file system. On HFS Plus, it's about 400. exFAT, it's about 500 megabytes a second.
Awesome. And I also have this version of the SSD as well that I have. It's a little bit cheaper, a little bit less weatherproof and crush-proof, but it's still an excellent drive. I use this for editing. And I started drifting away from hard drives and spinning disks a long time ago when the file size got bigger, my workflow got longer. I started dipping in higher resolutions and more codecs and different things like that. So G Drive is definitely my go-to, and it looks like there's a couple models that they're releasing and revealing on this convention. So let's talk about these.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in SSD land, right? They're getting bigger, they're getting faster. Everything's really improving because the technology's ramping so fast. So what we have here today is a NVMe SSD, and what makes NVMe awesome is the performance. Where our G Drive mobile SSD, the R series drive we talked about, up to 560, this goes up to 2,800 megabytes a second. So you can have a ton of really great multicam 4K RAW, and you never have to worry about proxies or doing anything weird. It'll just be a hot knife through butter. I can move a terabyte in 7 minutes or less with NVMe SSDs.
1 terabyte in 7 minutes or less. Like, this is fast, but this is about 5 times faster. And they both use the interface, like the USB-C interface, but this one actually has a new addition to it.
That's right. So everything that we just announced is Thunderbolt 3. So we need that extra performance of the Thunderbolt 3 bus in order to take advantage of all this tremendous fast SSD technology. So inside this one, we have a lot of aluminum, and as you can see, just like its little brother, we encase that SSD in the aluminum to protect it, but also to get rid of the heat. And the more heat you add to an SSD by writing to it, the hotter it gets. And typically what happens is they start to throttle when they overheat. Because of the way we've designed this, we get the heat out, keep the temperature down so the speed stays up.
What is your market for these each individual ones? Let's talk about like where they would fall in line for the person who's actually purchasing these and like the uses. Sorry.
Yeah, so we love this one because it's bus powered, right? I mean, you can really use this on the road. It's awesome for people that want to handle moving a bunch of big data, maybe do some scratch disk work while they're still out on the road. Meanwhile, the G Drive Pro SSD, which is another awesome Thunderbolt 3 NVMe SSD, is different. Underneath the hood of this is an enterprise-grade SSD. The typical SSDs have a lifespan measured in the amount of terabytes you can write to them. And a normal SSD is between 300 and 500 terabytes written before it starts to degrade. This goes up to 14,000 terabytes written. And so with this, it's really great for someone that's going to do a ton of video editing, sit at a workstation, do it all day, every day, and just hit it hard. This will last a lifetime.
And now this guy right here, let's talk about this guy.
So the Shuttle SSD is one of my favorites, actually, and because it's so many SATA SSDs running in RAID, I've got redundancy. It's also great because with all these SSDs, I'm going to get 2,800 megabytes a second of read and 2,800 megabytes a second of write. The capacity of this goes up to 16 terabytes, where we've got 2 terabytes per blade. And so this is a monster in capacity, a monster in performance, and I can always update it later to change out those SSDs or update what's inside.
Awesome. I actually heard that this model was TSA approved. It has a dual Thunderbolt 3 ports on the back, and honestly, it's very stylish looking. And let's talk about the availability and price points of each of these new models.
Yeah, so our G Drive Mobile Pro SSD is available in 500 and 1 terabyte, coming in June. We'll start at $600 and go to $1,000 for a terabyte. The G Drive Pro SSD is available May 1st. The capacities are a little funny. They're 960, 1.92, 3.84, and 7.68 terabytes. That's how we get that incredible endurance, is to provision it differently. These are going to go from $1,300 to $7,000. And the sweet spot is really on the Shuttle SSD, available next week. We'll see this available in 8 terabytes, 16 terabytes for $5,000 and $7,500 respectively.
Wow, that's great, and I want to really thank you for giving us this demonstration and talking about these. These are the future of editing, the future of storage, all of that, and G Drive is forefronting it, and I honestly cannot recommend this enough for video editors, for all types of business and creative use. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.